Hello, I'm Bill Chandler, and I'm here today to talk to you about the importance of an inventor's journal. Ever since I came out with the Ultimate Inventors Handbook, I've been asked many times, why the emphasis on the inventor's journal? Why did you come out with another book called an inventor's journal? That seems to be a lot of emphasis on that. And there's two main reasons that you need to keep an inventor's journal. One is, as you develop your product, your invention, your idea, it's going to take you a year, 2 years, sometimes 10 years. And during this time, you meet people and you have ideas and you have resources and you find places online and you have all these things that you'd like to remember. And then a couple of years later, I need to call that person again. And it's real nice to be able to just flip through your inventor's journal, find the name of the person, the name of the company, what their phone number is, what they thought at the time, maybe have their business card attached. It proves invaluable for many people just for that reason. It's amazing how time goes by and we lose track of things that we think we're going to remember for sure. The other, far more important reason is to protect your product. One of the faux pas that many inventors make is not documenting the progress of their invention. And this is not just for your own good, this is for court. And how this works is if you start your invention and you're working on your invention for 10 years and you apply for a patent, and before your patent is issued, somebody else applies for a substantially similar patent, then both patents stop the patent process, and it's called interference, and they go through a process to see who actually thought of the idea first. And how you prove that you thought of the idea first is by being able to document that you've worked on it continuously for the longest period of time. Now, if you stop for an extended period of time, and that's kind of a vague term, extended could be months at a time, you could lose your rights. But anyway, whoever has worked on their invention for the longest continuous period of time wins the interference battle and can proceed with their invention process. The other one's out. So you've worked on your invention for 10 years. Somebody else comes along working on it for 2 years. They document every step of the way. You don't. They interfere during the patent process. Your competitor, if you will, goes and shows them that their documentation, their inventor's journal, they have it signed by witnesses. It's been entries every week or two. And you stand up there and come up with a couple of receipts and some friend that says, yeah, he saw it in your garage a few years ago, and you're out of luck. And the real sad thing about this is you could have actually thought of it first. You could have mortgaged your house. You could have had your, everything. You could lose it all just because you didn't document your progress of your invention. So that's the real big one. And so the question that's asked is, when should I start this? When do I begin my inventor's journal? And it's when you have an idea that you think is worth proceeding, go get an inventor's journal, write down the idea, write down the conception date, and start documenting it. And people think often that to document something you have to have a meeting with a lawyer or a meeting with a patent attorney, or you have to be in the library, but that's not the case at all. If you went out to your workshop and you designed a new a hook or a latch or whatever it is, if you go out and do that, that's progress on your invention. You document, you write the date and the time and what you did, and you sign it and date it. And if someone is there with you, have them sign it also. If you're lying in bed and you're lying in bed thinking about some new way of proving your invention, well, that's invention development. That's that's how things take place. So write down the date, the time, even if it's the middle of the night, what you did, and document it. Realistically, if you're working on an invention, it's probably not going to be months go by without you. There's not going to be a gap of months where you didn't think about your invention, somebody didn't call you about your invention, didn't have an idea about your invention. It's probably just not going to happen. One more thing I want to mention. If you have had an idea and you've been developing it and it's been a couple of years, what do? What you do is you go get an inventor's journal, you go back and you figure out you look at receipts in your journal and talk to your friends, and you figure out when it actually was that you had this idea, and you start documenting the progress you made, and you fill in the blanks as much as you can all the way up to now, and then you start going forward from this day forward. And that's the best you can do. And believe me, if you end up in court in an interference situation, you're going to be really glad you had it. What else can I say? It's like, nobody backs up their computer until they have a bad crash and lose everything. Then they always back up their computer. Well, this is a one-shot deal. You can't go back and do it again. So my advice to you, my advice to everybody, my advice to myself is to, when you have an idea, get out an inventor's journal and start documenting it. If you have 2 inventions or more inventions, get a separate journal for each invention. And just every time you think about both inventions, make an entry in both books. The reason I wrote the Ultimate Inventors Handbook in the beginning was because there's so many decisions to make and pathways to go down as you're developing an invention. And there's so many, rocks to snag yourself on, and oftentimes the inventors lose all the rights to their product. The product becomes public domain because they exposed it too early. They gave a speech about it before they applied for the patent or whatever. But one of the big ones is just not documenting their progress. It's simple. You don't even have to use a published book. Just make sure you use a bound book that you can't remove the pages from. And by the way, when you're using an inventor's journal, the idea is for it to be permanent. So don't write in pencil, write in pen. Don't tear pages out. Don't tape pages in. You can tape or staple in documents and receipts and anything else you want, but make it a permanent, comprehensive, continuous record of the development of your invention. I guarantee you'll be glad you did. That's all for today. We'll be talking more about other ideas and other things that inventors can do to make their progress smoother, swifter, more successful. Good talk.